The ACLU of Hawaii is celebrating the approval of marriage equality this year with the passage of Constitutional Amendment Question 1, which removed from the Hawaii State Constitution the legislature's ability to reserve marriage to opposite-sex couples. In the early 90s, Hawaii made world history when our judiciary ruled that the state could not deny the issuance of marriage licenses to same-sex couples. It was the first time anywhere that had happened. Sadly, neither the public nor the political establishment were ready to accept something so radical as same-sex marriage. And in 1998, Article 1, Section 23 was approved by voters to give the legislature the authority to reserve marriage for opposite-sex couples. And so, same-sex marriage was essentially banned in Hawaii until the legislature took up the question in 2013 and passed the Hawaii Marriage Equality Act, which legalized same-sex marriage in Hawaii. In 2022, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Dobbs that the U.S. Constitution does not confer a right to abortion access. While disturbing in its own right, in his concurring opinion, Justice Thomas made it known that he would like to reconsider the High Court's prior ruling on same-sex marriage. In response to that opinion, LGBTQ rights advocates across the country began to look at ways to shield marriage equality rights from a conservative and regressive court. And as the presidential race grew increasingly uncertain and bleak, worry grew about the dangerous implications of a second Trump presidency. Last summer, the ACLU of Hawaii board members, looking at states like Colorado and California, which had active campaigns to amend their state constitutions to protect marriage equality, took action. The Change 23 Coalition, named for Section 23, was born to encourage the Hawaii legislature to support legislation that would ask voters to amend our state constitution to address the 30-year-old discriminatory language and enshrine marriage equality in our foundational governing document. While we didn't get the billing which we preferred, the legislature overwhelmingly supported placing a question on the ballot this year to repeal the discriminatory language of Article 1, Section 23. With the passage of the constitutional amendment legislation last May, we shifted gears to begin the challenging work of educating and activating the electorate in support of Question 1. In July, the Vote Yes for Marriage Equality campaign was officially born. Because the ACLU of Hawaii could not engage directly in political campaigning, the campaign was created as a ballot issue committee of a newly formed 501c4 for this very purpose, the Hawaii Civil Rights Voter Education Fund. The C4 board includes Nikos Leverins as president, Ha'aheo Zablan as vice president, myself as treasurer, Zena Bazi as secretary. The rest of the board was rounded out by John Matsuoka and our own Jeff Hong and Salma Rizvi as at-large members. The Education Fund went about the task of hiring campaign staff, approving a budget, and campaign plan to win in November. We were lucky to successfully hire Chris Caulfield as our campaign manager, with Tony Sanchez as our Oahu volunteer coordinator, and Alakai Kapanui as our Hawaii Island volunteer coordinator. Chris was indispensable directing the day-to-day operations of the campaign, fundraising, messaging, and supervising Tony and Alakai. Tony and Alakai were terrific in their roles as tireless advocates for the campaign, coordinating volunteers and events on their respective islands, such as canvassing, sign waving, and participating in community events to raise awareness and support. Because state law says constitutional amendments must be approved by a majority of all ballots cast, we knew we had our work cut out for us. For the purpose of approving CONAMs, blank votes are essentially counted as no votes. Mahalo to Alakai, Tony, and Chris for their tireless efforts. The campaign started with a small budget, and with so many other local campaigns going on, not to mention the presidential, fundraising proved challenging, so the initial campaign and messaging plan was downsized to the bare essentials. Our campaign staff and hardcore volunteers were critical to our victory. Their energy and determination reminded us daily what was at stake. Buoyed by support from organizations like Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction Center and the Legacy Foundation, a broad educational, not political, ad campaign was successfully implemented during the final weeks of the campaign. These efforts were augmented by an additional educational ad campaign approved by the ACLU Board of Directors and implemented by staff. Without the support and commitment from so many individuals and organizations from across the state and country, the outcome may have been very different. In the end, we were victorious, and our effort to repeal Article 1, Section 23 was one of 2 constitutional amendments to be approved by voters for the first time in nearly a decade. Mahalo to all the ACLU of Hawaii staff, our board, allied organizations, and countless individual supporters, all of whom should take pride in this historic victory for civil rights in Hawaii.